Whenever someone decides to analyze a painting, he or she must always pay close attention to the distinct colors an artist uses. In terms of art, color has been classified in 8 distinct hues: red, blue, green, purple, yellow, brown, black, and white. And over time, each of the hues have grown to carry their own meaning. From even the earliest records of art, color has mostly been used as a form of representation. For instance, the color white has traditionally been associated with biblical symbols and characteristics like purity and innocence. Yet, as art has evolved over time, the meaning and use behind color has evolved as well. In this video essay, I will be analyzing 3 paintings that all use the same medium: Raphael's The Sistine Madonna, Claude Monet's Gross Temps, and Pablo Picasso's Girl Before a Mirror, and point out how the use of color has transformed over time in both purpose and effect. As oil paints became much more popular during the Renaissance, artists were able to broaden their subject matter and add more subtle details, which allowed for paintings to be used in a wide variety of settings. Due to its natural luminosity and plasticity, oil paints could be easily combined to create a larger color palette than traditional mediums like egg tempera and fresco, allowing for paintings to look sharper, brighter, and more realistic. Additionally, as more pigments were being discovered, the meaning behind colors changed as well. Easily accessible paints like red, white, and black still had the same meaning, while other colors, like blue and yellow, changed to become associated with wealth and magnificence. According to Victoria Finlay, this was due to the color blue becoming much more expensive to receive as lapis lazuli became such a popular commodity, and yellow being associated with rare metals like gold. If we take a look at some popular Renaissance paintings, we can better see the symbolism of colors. Towering over tourists in the Gamma Gallery, Altemeister, lies Raphael's The Sistine Madonna. In this painting, we see all kinds of colors. We see green, white, black, gold, red, and blue, and somehow they all seem to serve a purpose. Each of the 3 main figures have a touch of gold to them, signifying their value and importance. The green curtains that set the frame of the painting serve as a symbol of fruitfulness. The orange ruffles in the clothing of the figures mean wisdom and knowledge. The white background and the red inner lining of the figures serves as a reminder of their divinity and godliness, while the rich and dark blue, present only on the Madonna's cloak, portrays her magnificence, richness, and exquisiteness. But that's all that they are. The colors serve as a symbol. While Raphael is mindful about the color choices he makes to make it not seem garish to the viewer, the main purpose of the colors is pure representation. It is this concept that seems to change over time. Next, we come to the Impressionist period. As technology became more and more advanced, artists started to use metal tubes to hold their oil paints instead of traditional pig bladders. This allowed for artists to go on long painting expeditions outdoors, as they were no longer confined inside due to the short lifespan of oil paints. As such, artists became more focused on portraying the beauty of nature in ordinary life instead of incorporating religion and similar characteristics in their paintings. This brings us to Claude Monet's Gross Temps. In this painting, Monet portrays a stunning view of the Normandy coast using a wide array of colors, and in this painting, we can start to see the shift to colors from being mainly used symbolically to aesthetically. Monet paints primarily in a lighter hue, depending on lighter colors and avoiding anything too dark. By painting with such a similar soft palette, Monet makes everything seem misty and distorted, creating an ephemeral effect to the viewer. Furthermore, Monet is trying to recreate the feeling of being on the beach to the viewer, rather than having them simply recognize the location. As such, Monet creates an encompassing effect around the viewer using his precise choice of colors, instead of having them recognize anything symbolic. Finally, we come to the Modernist period. As art production streamlined and materials became much more accessible, more and more colored pigments became developed, allowing for artists to explore more with their color choices. Also, as the avant-garde movement became much more popular with the rise of modernism, many artists began experimenting with contrasting colors and creating messages around their color choices. Pablo Picasso's Girl Before a Mirror shows exactly that. In the left side of this painting, we can see that Picasso painted in lighter and softer hues, using colors that aren't too garish for the viewer's eye to give the impression that the lady is naturally beautiful. In contrast to that, Picasso paints the right side of the painting in the opposite way, covering up the woman in darker and rich tones, giving a sort of gloomy and pessimistic aura. Because of his extreme music contrast, Picasso almost tells the story by his color choices alone. It seems as though the fair painted lady on the left is how she normally looks in the real world, her appearance to everybody else. Yet, when she looks in the mirror, she sees herself in the opposite manner. She sees herself in a dark light, almost as if she sees the flaws in herself that nobody else sees. It seems as though she becomes self-conscious. In this painting, Picasso does not rely on anything except for the color choices to portray the story. The woman's stance is neutral, her face shows no emotion, and there is no indication of any external factors. Yet, through the effect of his color choices, he's able to convey a story to the viewer. Before the production of art became much more streamlined and color choices became much more diverse, many artists had to rely on the symbolism and meaning behind basic colors to portray their purpose. But as time progressed and newer colors were easier to use, artists were no longer confined to certain boundaries and were able to use colors in a much more complex manner.